Now, our prayers this morning are with the families of those hostages who lost their lives. Kfir and Ariel Bibas, aged 4 and 9 months, 4 years old and 9 months, with their mother Shiri, and Obed Lipchif, age 84, who was actually known to be a lifelong peace and Palestinian rights advocate for years before his retirement. This will give the family a closure, actually, to get the bodies back. At first, the bodies of the two boys' mother in the coffin was not their mother, and this must have been so hard, actually, for the family. And we have seen in the news how they paraded the coffins like trophies before a cheering crowd and loud music in Gaza. That was, actually, I want to tell you, pure evil. Jews put a lot of emphasis on the burial of the body, based on Deuteronomy chapter 21, especially verse 23, which speaks of a deceased person. It says that you shall bury him the same day. This is why Jews bury their deceased within the same day of their death. If one leaves a body unburied overnight, it is thought to be a sign of great disrespect and humiliation to the deceased. They also believe that by returning the physical body to the earth, as soon as possible, the soul is more easily able to return to the source, which it was drawn from. And when they carried the coffins through the streets of Tel Aviv, I don't know if you saw this, the crowd lined up. They were all in silence. Israeli President Isaac Herzog said, "The hearts of the entire nation lie in tatters," that is to say, shred in rags. This is a reference that the sign of mourning in the scriptures to tear actually one's garment. Today, close family members of the deceased tear a piece of garment, and they're wearing, that is usually it's a tie, to publicly symbolize grief at a funeral. That tearing is called kriya, from the word torn in Hebrew. This is based in the scriptures as well. When Jacob believed his son Joseph was dead, he tore his garment in Genesis chapter 37. However, the manner in which the coffins were returned that day brought so many around the world to denounce such treatments, from the UN to the Red Cross and including many world leaders. Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar spoke of it as a horrific and repulsive spectacle of twisted and monstrous minds. Mark Rubio, the US Secretary of State, condemned Hamas, saying that this terrorist group should be wiped out if it were next to the US border. And to add, by the way, to the affliction, on the same day that these bodies were being returned, 3 bombs were planted on buses in Bat Yam, which is a suburb of Tel Aviv. 3 of those bombs exploded on 3 of those buses. These bombs were intended to go off on a Friday morning during the pre-Shabbat rush hour, but their timers actually were improperly that is set. Praise God for that. Then other bombs were discovered in Holon, another suburb of Tel Aviv. One of them was in a bus which was filled with passengers. However, when a woman discovered a suspicious package, she told the driver, who got everyone out of the bus minutes before it exploded. Another miracle, praise God. Each bomb contained 5 kilograms or 11 pounds of explosive. They were military grade and sizable in terms of the mortal damage it could have caused. Once again, we thank God that no one was hurt. The group that did this is from within the land of Israel, from actually the West Bank. Another good news is that today they released 6 Israeli hostages and 602 Palestinian prisoners. Saying all these things, Israel has been going through so much turmoil in this past year, even this past few months. It is completely surrounded by so many enemies from within and from without. And one more thing about the hostages. After the autopsy performed on the bodies of the 2 young children and their mother, they found out that they were brutally murdered. Not shot, not killed by an Israeli bomb, as they said before, but brutally murdered in cold blood, they say, right? One can see, one can feel the pure evil actually in this. Besides the wars and rumors of wars, the Bible tells us that along with what we're seeing on earth, there is in the heavenly as well a fierce spiritual battle What is happening on earth reflects this battle of the principalities and powers. And as we're coming close to the second coming of Yeshua, the scriptures also indicates that the forces of evil are themselves realizing that their end is very close, and so they are fighting harder and harder. We read in Revelation chapter 12, a chapter which gives us a short history of Israel, past, present, and future. In verse 12, it says that at the very end, it says, "Woe to the earth and the sea, because the devil has come down to you having great wrath, knowing that he has only a short time." This has not happened yet. This is for the coming 7-year tribulation time that almost all prophets in the Hebrew scriptures and in the New Testament describe, which will happen after the believers will be taken away at the rapture. But today we can already feel this hatred. We can feel this deep hatred growing, one that the prophets have been warning us about. In his address to the nation, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu quoted a passage from the scriptures. Actually, he quoted Psalm 94 and said, "O God of vengeance, O Lord, O God, show vengeance." God does promise vengeance against all evil, but this will come only when Yeshua comes back. How I wish he would also dig deeper into the same book he quoted and discover that our salvation is found only in him. But this role is ours to trigger as well. It is everybody or every believer's task to pray and proclaim the coming of Yeshua very soon. Paul says, 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 2, "Preach the word. Be ready in season and out of season. Reprove, rebuke, exhort with great patience and instructions." You know, there are 9 imperatives here, 9 commandments for the believers. And the first one, preach the word, declare it, announce it. Make known what God has written in his book. The time is now. The time is ripe.